There's drama during and after the Old Firm. Dunfermline cause upsets again. And is this the end for Motherwell in the title? Hello, I'm Ray Bradshaw, and this is a Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views, and analysis you need on Monday the 9th of March. And Celtic put Rangers out the Scottish Cup after a lopsided encounter at Ibrox.
This is the put Celtic through. Here he goes, right-footed penalty, and he does! Celtic have done it! They're through to the semis on penalties!
But there's going to be plenty said about the scenes after the full-time whistle, and there were plenty of other shocks in the other Cup quarter-finals.
Frustrated, angry, disappointed. They scored and then we just capitulated. Embarrassing. They wanted it more.
The holders are out of the Cup as Dunfermline caused another shock, and has defeat to Dundee ended Motherwell's hopes of the title.
Here they are, chance for Dundee, ball played across, surely! Goal Dundee! Ben Robertson with the tap in with 6 minutes to go. It's the home fans who are on their feet.
We'll guide you through the weekend's Scottish Cup and Premiership drama.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Yes, hello and welcome to the podcast today. We'll get on to a sham of a decision at St Mirren against Partick Thistle later, and I will not be impartial about that later on. But first, we better chat about who we're joined with today. First up, we're joined by Cammy Bell, the former Rangers, Dundee United. We can go on and on and on. Goalkeeper, Cammy, how are you?
I'm good, Ray, you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Were you at the game yesterday, Cammy? Where were you?
I was in the studio, so I seen it all coming in, all the scenes, all the game. So yeah, it was a fascinating afternoon again.
Yeah, good. We'll get on to that in a sec. And because you've been in the studio, you know legally what we can say and what we can't say, which is good to know. We're also joined by Scott Allan, former Celtic midfielder, Hibs, so many other places. Scott, you were at the Thistle game last night. How was your football day yesterday? Did you enjoy it?
I was also at Ibrox as well yesterday.
Oh, did you do the double?
So I took a double in yesterday, yes.
And what was it? So
it was
see, with everything that was happening on the pitch afterwards, because everyone will have seen it, were you kept back?
Yeah.
Did you get to leave? What happened? Was everyone, because I know the Celtic fans get kept back, but was it the same everywhere, or what happened?
No, I didn't get kept. I didn't get kept back. I must have left about 4 o'clock.
Right, okay.
I must have left about 4 o'clock, so it wasn't too long after the final whistle.
And what was the atmosphere like at the end of the game?
At that point,
Aye.
I was genuinely amazed at what was. I couldn't believe what was going on.
And what were you,
I couldn't believe it.
Were you in the media bit? Where were you? Were you standing? What were you doing?
Yeah, I was in the media gantry. Yeah,
and then
I was in the media gantry.
What were you saying to each other when it was happening?
Sorry,
what were you saying to each other when it was happening?
Well, they were coming to ask about reflection on the penalties, but because that had happened, your whole mind was just concentrating obviously on what was in front of you. And at one point you thought this could get really, really nasty. But so it was at the end of the game was bad enough as in terms of the quality in the game. The game was terrible, but that after it, and it will be spoke about more than the Celtic victory because of just how ugly the scenes were.
Yeah, well, let's kick.
And all the talk obviously about allocation for the last how many years. It's done in one go, isn't it? That'll be the end of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's kick off at Ibrox, where most of the fireworks literally happened after the match. So Celtic go through after a 0-0 draw. They won 4-2 on penalties. James Tavernier and Jedi Gassama missing penalties. Gassama's in particular was a stinker of a penalty. Wild scenes on the pitch. If you've not seen it, I'd be fascinated why you haven't. Cammy, overall thoughts. So there's, like Scott mentioned, there's no danger of visiting fans getting allocations like that for Old Firm games for a while. What was your thoughts on the game as a whole?
Yeah, listen, it was the big news was straight away when Cal McGregor and Kieran Tierney didn't make the Celtic lineup. So again, you have to speak about that. And then when you see the Celtic team, you almost think, look, this has got to be Rangers' day. This is their moment to get through into the semi-final and potentially go on and win a cup. And I'm pretty sure the Rangers players in the changing room, when they seen the team, it's got to, when you see their top players, almost their heartbeat of their team missing, it's got to inspire you on. And Listen, when you look at the game, the quality overall was really, really poor from both sides, but Rangers were very dominant for majority of the game, certainly the whole of the second half. Celtic couldn't offer anything going towards Jack Butland's goal. But Rangers, when they had so much possession, did they really trouble Sinisalo in the Celtic goal? Not for me, not a great deal. I felt as if he had a good game. He dealt with balls coming into the box, balls over the top. But Rangers didn't really trouble him that much, and it was, again, the quality in the final third for them that really hurt them, because they had so much possession. And for me, they were very one-dimensional, looking for that set piece, that ball into the box for the two strikers. It wasn't working, but they didn't change either. So, yeah, there's big flaws in the Rangers side, but also, listen, Celtic weren't great, but they done what they needed to do, defended for long, long periods, and I thought they were excellent defending. And again, they got the job done, and they're the ones that progress.
Yeah, and Cammy, just for you, before we talk more about the game, as a former goalkeeper yourself, where do you stand now for the rest of the season? Do you think it's Sinisolo's spot to lose, or do you think Kasper Schmeichel will come back in? What do you think will happen?
No, I absolutely think he'll play to the end of the season now, and I think he's what Celtic are looking at as a future goalkeeper. So again, there's an opportunity for him to play. There's going to be big pressure games, but that's what he's going to face if he wants to be a Celtic number one. So I think he's shown what he can do. He had a big save midweek in Aberdeen from Nisbet, and then yesterday I genuinely thought he was excellent. A lot of people look and think he didn't have much to do, but he had a lot of high balls into the box, a lot of balls over the top. I think there was a Benjamin Arthur ball where it came loose and he had to be alert to it, cleared the danger, and I just felt as if he was one of Celtic's best performers, because he was so solid. Him and Trusty gives him that belief. So yeah, he's got to play to the end of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Scott, for you, we've all heard the stats. I was listening to Sports Sound driving up to a gig last night, and it was Rangers 24 shots to Celtic's 1. Surely Rangers are going to walk away going, how did we not win this? What did you make of both sides yesterday, Scott?
Yeah, well, I want to say, I think if you're a Rangers player and you see the team come in and it was significantly weaker than it was the previous week, and you had the takeaway from the first half, you're thinking, right, if we can match that intensity throughout the game, then we should win. For me, Rangers were favourites once you see the team sheets come out. But actually, the first opening period of the game, Celtic done well. We just keep the ball, we were a wee bit patient, and it just took that wee sting off Rangers right from the get-go. Obviously, Rangers going direct, as you would expect, to try and trouble that makeshift back four, who were outstanding. But with Celtic, when they're asked to defend for large spells in games, especially I compare it to the European away games, they've shown that they can defend. It's usually when they're more expansive. It obviously highlights their weaknesses in 1v1 defending. But as Cammy says, Sinisalo and the back four were excellent. For a Rangers point of view, going forward, just that little bit of imagination around the edge of the 18-yard box, creativity-wise out with Mikey Moore, just there's times Raskin. Must have been 4 or 5 times that Nico Raskin, obviously being a midfielder myself back in the day, all he has to do is his body shape's completely wrong for him to open up and play forwards. At times he could have done that and switched to play, and he didn't. For obviously a player at that level, it doesn't look good for me. That I thought Mikey Moore came off far too early in the game. I think when the kind of Rangers had total control in terms of keeping the ball away from the box, Celtic sparingly had these sort of chances. I think you've got to keep players like Mikey Moore on, because it only takes a moment, and he was your player for me who is the most capable of a moment. So it took him off far too early for me. And just lack of imagination, I think that would be the key. Throwing balls into the box, but really trying to move that Celtic backline. But as I says, look, when Callum McGregor's not in the lineup, you think Rangers are going to totally dominate. And they did obviously move the ball from their half into Celtic's half quite well throughout the game, but at the same time Celtic offered very little going forward, and I think if they could have played for another 2 days they wouldn't have scored. But ultimately it was all about a defensive performance. That's which cup football, can they take it to penalties, and they did. And then it was all about composure when it got to penalties, and Celtic stood up to that. So from a Celtic point of view, they'll know performance-wise it's probably nowhere near what they would expect, especially as an attacking threat. But the two sides of football and defensively, I thought they'd done really well, especially from set pieces. They kind of flooded that 6-yard box. I think that's why you obviously seen Scales come into the left back position, and it got Ben Arthur and Dave Murray then obviously replaced him. That gave him that height. They defended their box really well, Celtic. Trusty, since I've had my say on Trusty over the last few months, I think he's had some really poor games for Celtic this season, but to a man, they defended really well yesterday, Celtic, and that ultimately gets them penalties, and then you're relying on a bit of composure and quality for the penalties, and they certainly showed that.
Yeah, were you surprised, Scott, that Rangers did not change any of their strikers when they got Bojan Miovski on the bench and Naderi and Chimiti both played 120 minutes?
Yes, I think that kind of tells you what Danny Rowe obviously thinks of Miovski, doesn't it? Especially in a game like that, so many minutes to be played. Didn't change it. I thought he could have took Naderi off at some point. At the same time, Tavernier maybe a bit earlier. I always felt if because what James Tavernier did provide when he came on, the deliveries from corners got better straight away, and then he has the one that he puts in for Chimity. It just obviously goes by he's trying to direct in the far corner, and it just goes by the post. So I thought it could maybe put Tavernier on, but Mikey Moore to take him off so early in the game when you could kind of feel where it was going. I think we all could have kind of tell it was going to head for extra time. I'm just a big believer in when you have that sort of ability in your team. Yes, you might drop out of the game at times, but you're just relying on a moment, especially in a cup game. Yeah,
and Cammy, to go from the other side, give us a goalkeeping point of view, because last week we all heard, and you saw it when Rio Hatate steps up, Jack Butland's penalty saving record is phenomenal. I think it was 7 of 8 in real time, but then you look at cup games and I think he was 0 from 4 in the last penalty shootout. Again, it happens, he goes, apart from who's Oxlade-Chamberlain goes down the middle, but the other 3 goes the wrong way. Psychologically for a goalie, is there a difference between a penalty shootout and a penalty in a game?
No, not for me. Not for me. I think you're facing the exact same scenario. You've just got more coming at you in a short period, but you're prepared for that mentally. So I was a little bit surprised that Jack Butland went the wrong way. But again, you look at he's had an incredible record of saving penalties recently, and then there's a lot of pressure. Everyone's expecting him almost to save a penalty in a penalty shootout, and it doesn't happen. I felt as if Celtic's penalties were excellent. They held their nerve. Again, there was a couple of them that were right in the corner. Really, really good. I know Jack Butland went the wrong way, but even if he does go the right way, again, Hatate, you speak about his from last week to this week, real conviction in the penalty. Again, that was the difference. So, Celtic looked as if they were confident going up to it. And again, it maybe just was their day. They defended for long periods, and this was their moment, and they absolutely took it.
Yeah, it was. I was really, really surprised with that record that he had, that he didn't get close to that. Cammy, for you personally in your career, the one penalty save that sticks out in your head?
Well, the hat-trick of penalties, that's what it would be for me, for Dundee United. So, yeah, I mean, it was that moment, that saving free in less than 30 minutes was a special moment for me.
It's mad, isn't it? Did you get a penalty saving bonus? Is that a thing? Because you get clean sheet bonuses. Is there a penalty saving bonus?
No, there was no penalty saving bonus. Unfortunately, I would have been having a nice night out after that one.
Do you know, I find that mad. I was doing a rival radio station, and I was on with an NFL player, and he was telling me he was a defensive player. Every time they get a sack in the NFL, they take the quarterback down. It adds $1 million to your next contract. So let's be honest. Imagine you got $1 million for every penalty save. You would not be doing this podcast. We could have lost you, Cammy. That's what happened.
I wouldn't be up here speaking to you, Ray.
Yeah, that's fair. And right, we've talked about the game. Let's look at it as a whole afterwards. I mean, it's been done to death and will be for the next. I saw Scottish Football Association have said there'll be things. Police Scotland will be there. Scott, see, from a player's point of view, you played with a lot of international players. Do you think players might be put off coming to Scottish football to a Rangers and Celtic because of scenes like that, or would that not affect them?
No, I don't think so. I think as a player, you're more took in by that sort of atmosphere and hostility. You want to test yourself on the pitch, but the pitch is for the players. I think afterwards, when it then spills into that sort of ugly scenes as we've seen, I think the first and foremost, you need to go off the pitch, because it only takes one moment. There could be serious injuries to someone. So at that time, it's about getting off the pitch. But I think Rangers and Celtic, that's the allure for it, is the hostility and the rivalry between the two clubs, and they playing that kind of magnitude of game. As you see it, you understand, especially being from Glasgow, how much that game means to people. And and when you're on the losing side, you just don't want to see the sort of things spill over. But as we say, the game as a whole just lacked so much quality, didn't it? At the same time, it really did. And from both teams as an attacking threat, it was as poor as we've seen for a long time. But I don't think, for me, international players will be put off just because how ugly the scenes were.
Yeah, if anything, Cammy, a lot of the lone players who came in January seem to absolutely love it. You see Araho celebrate Lach Vanchara when he scores his penalty. Do you think Celtic are now favourites to win the Cup, Cammy?
Yeah, for me, they've got to be. I think when you look at the sides that have progressed through, and no disrespect to any of them, they fully deserve to be there. But Celtic have got to be firm favourites. You look at Falkirk, could they do something? Absolutely, for me. But yeah, I think the scenes after the game, listen, they're really poor, and it's disappointing from a Scottish football point of view. It brought back them memories from I was on the bench and the Hibs game, the cup final, where Rangers got beaten, and the same sort of scenes that happened at Hampden. So yeah, it's not great scenes for Scottish football. And Scott mentioned it before. That's it for me. The crowd is going to completely change again. The allocation's going to be back to minimal, if anything. And it's the fans that have let the clubs down. So yeah, it's poor to see.
Let's talk about the other three quarterfinals, starting with last night in Paisley. St Mirren finally got a win. They seem to. We were on this podcast last Tuesday, myself and Dev from Pie and Bovril, and he was saying St Mirren are a cup team. I have my own opinions on a lot of the game last night. I'm meant to be a presenter. I'm meant to be neutral. That will not be happening in this instance. Scott, it's not a penalty, is it?
Well, at the time, no one actually seen the handball.
No one claims
in the stadium. Did you see that as well?
No.
No, it was strange. I had about 3 seconds to watch it back as well, and you think handball, he's lifted his hands up. And then obviously VAR. Listen, there's guys in that room. Between them, they're the ones that obviously asked David Dickinson to go to the monitor to call it. So between them, it looks like they've got it wrong. There's no getting away from that.
They called it.
It comes off the foot.
They called it really early as well, Scott and Cammy. I don't know if you saw the incident where obviously hits Robbie Crawford's foot, comes up, hits his hands. VAR was stopped during the game, which you don't see that often, and called straight over. And it seems like they've rushed it. Mark Wilson has come out and said the fourth official told him that's a new rule that's been changed, and that's why it was given. What did you make of the Thistle St Mirren game, Cammy?
Yeah, well, going to the penalty incident, firstly, I don't think it's a penalty. It clearly hits Robbie Crawford's foot, and again, certainly if the rules have changed, then I could be wrong, but I still look at it, I think that for me isn't a penalty. If you're a football player, I don't think penalty should be given for that. It hits his foot and then deflects up to his hands, which are by his face and in the middle of his body, and is that a natural motion? Possibly. Should he do it? Maybe not. I get it, but I still don't think it's a penalty kick because of the deflection off his foot. I think that plays a big part. That your body's got to react when it hits another part of your body. So, yeah, for me, it's one they've got absolutely wrong. It'll be interesting to see when that's discussed going forward. So players understand what the rules are and where we're up with penalty kicks. But yeah, listen, the game overall, it'll be disappointing for Partick Thistle because I think the penalty kick plays a huge part in the way the game ends up. I think it's a big moment in the game. There was some good goals. There was some great moments from both sides, but yeah, they'll be disappointed, and it's always a sore one when you get such a controversial decision and there's no going back. It's cup football, so you are out of the cup and that's it done. So disappointing for Partick.
I think it stings a little bit more for us as well because we are not used to VAR. We don't get it in the Championship. So the fact that decision has affected us, and it seems a bad decision. And don't get me wrong, St Mirren played relatively well in spells. I thought the Thistle played well, especially that kind of start of the game, second half, just trying to get in there. Scott, you were praising Ben Stanway last night. He is, which I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy. He's out of contract this season. I don't want people to know about him. There's been rumours of Aberdeen interested in him, Dundee, Hearts, maybe down south. What did you think of his performance last night, Scott?
I thought he was the most accomplished player in the park. I really did. I thought he knitted the game together for Thistle, always available for a pass. and he played forward, played some really good, cute balls forward. And I did feel Thistle were quite narrow, so he didn't always have that one where you could open up and switch your play and then go and get it back. But what he did do, really brave in possession. And then, so we talk about the goals high quality. Since a good ball out to him, but at the same time, you see these sort of volleys get slashed wider over the bar all the time. Just really controlled finish, watches the ball the whole way, and so it goes into the corner. But he was a standout footballer on the part for me. It's the first time I've seen him play live, so I was really impressed with him. And I know we're going on about the penalty. I just felt after Thistle get the goal back, I thought they could have done a wee bit more. To kind of fashion a chance. And I understand when you're then chasing it, becomes quite easy when you're near the St Mirren box just to throw it in. But I just feel when you're playing against St Mirren, it's their bread and butter. When you play the balls into the ball, they want to go and attack it, especially obviously they carry that physical and height that they have in their team. I just felt if they maybe worked it and did an extra pass and worked it and got the St Mirren defenders moving a little bit, they would have created more openings. So listen, they were well in the game. It was a really competitive cup tie, as he says. St Mirren played well in patches. Lundulu obviously getting a goal and assist, but not getting away from Stanley was a standout for me.
And yes, I think for us as Thistle fans, it's a missed opportunity because we've had quite a good cup run so far. Your Elgins, your Montroses, we've not played a big team to get to quarter final, to get St Mirren, who are in bad form, to get to Hampden for the first time in 24 years. It just does feel that missed opportunity, definitely. I think actually it's interesting.
You see Dunfermline the night before, you kind of get that little bit of belief, don't you?
100%.
Saying if we can get this right.
I spoke to the producer of this podcast just before when the team lineups came up, and the fact that Logan Chalmers was missing for Thistle was a big miss. He's an exciting player. I mean, you say we're lacking with it's kind of Chalmers and Fitzpatrick, because you forget about this. 4 of our players last night were cup tied as well, and it's that
I know.
The bench just shrinks that little bit at our level. It's frustrating, but if we go into another team, Dunfermline, like you said, Scott, a cup semi-final, potential playoff spot for them just now. It's turning into a good season. Cammy, it's taken Neil Lennon a while to bed in. They've been pretty inconsistent. I saw them 3 weeks ago against Thistle. They didn't look that great, and then they've had a great run since then. Aberdeen, another disaster for them. I've seen a lot of fans very critical in them. Saying no fight in the team. There's a danger that they're in free fall. They could get sucked into that 11th place playoff thing, especially with the bottom 6 when they play each other and points become so competitive. For Dunfermline, though, absolutely flying. Some result for them.
Yeah, brilliant result for Dunfermline, first and foremost. I think Neil Lennon, you're right, it's taken a little bit of time to get his rhythm at Dunfermline, and they've almost went through little spells. They have a little glitch and then they go again. But listen, looking at that game in isolation, I felt as if they were so dominant. They were fantastic. They absolutely blew Aberdeen away, which is just incredible to say. Aberdeen should be one of our biggest clubs in Scotland. And that's no disrespect to Dunfermline, but Dunfermline absolutely blew them away. And heard Neil Lennon after the game and how proud he was of the players, the quality that they showed on the night. And it was just a brilliant moment for them. And they've now got a semi-final against Falkirk to look forward to. Anything can happen in them types of games, and they'll be so excited about that. But when you look at Aberdeen, what a mess they're in. Again, sacking Jimmy Talleen, putting an interim manager in charge is absolutely normal, but not for such a long period. And then going after a manager and thinking he's going to come in the summer. Now there's rumblings he's not coming. Yet listen, it's just a complete mess. And for me, that normally happens with a club that's not got a sporting director or a director of football or a chief executive who's really involved in the club. Aberdeen have got both of them. And again, it just seems as if it's a real mess of what's going on. And they're feeling it on the pitch at this moment. That's why they're out of cup. That's why their season's almost over. But it's not over because they genuinely, and Peter even said this, could be dragged into that playoff spot because they're only 8 points away from Kilmarnock. As you mentioned, Ray, there's that split where points are so crucial against each other. And they're absolutely not out of the relegation battle. I think they're in real trouble.
Yeah, I totally agree. Scott, I could see you nodding there as well. For your old club, Dundee United, it feels like their season could be over after Falkirk, which seems a lifetime ago, doesn't it? Friday night, edged out at the expense of Dundee United, 2-1 victory, trip to Hampden, an excellent cup draw for them as well in the next round. Scott, I mean, I feel like every week on Sports Sound or on this podcast, we're talking about the job that John McGlynn has done. We're talking about how much he improves players. We're talking about how a club like Aberdeen could really use a manager like that. Manager of the season for you?
Yeah, manager of the season for me, I think Derek McInnes would argue that if he ends up with the Premiership title in his hands. There's no getting away. I've said for months how good a job John McGlynn had done. I don't think any of us could have foreseen how well Falkirk would have done, obviously, in their arrival back in the top division. And now to add a Scottish Cup semi-final, that'll be a huge game for both clubs. Also, there's a rivalry between the two clubs. Neil Lennon will think he'll be able to get the job done, but it's very hard to see past John McGlynn in that Falkirk team. There's such a resilience and a real identity about it. I think that's the biggest thing. Talk about clubs with identity. Falkirk have that. John Glenn's instilled that, and it just shows you when you have that continuity with players and belief in them moving up through the divisions. Because a lot of times when clubs do get promotion, they look to get more players in and strengthen areas. He's had full trust in players from League One, and they're reaping the rewards of it. I think for me, for Dunn Tate, who came all the way from League One with Falkirk, I thought he was outstanding in the game. So Leon McCann as well. Really good performance. He's got Barney Stewart up front, who's been a revelation. He obviously had a loan deal at Dunfermline earlier in the season. But John McGlynn, what a job he's doing. For me, he would be the guy. If you're Aberdeen, you're going to get John McGlynn. Probably won't happen. That's an incredible thing, even when it's turning your nose up at someone who's done such a successful job over 3 seasons at Falkirk. But they'll believe that's a real opportunity for them to get a cup final.
Yeah, and we've mentioned the draw earlier, so if you missed the draw, it's Falkirk against Dunfermline. As James McFadden said, the Clackmannanshire derby, the draw we want to see, and Celtic v St Mirren in the other semi-final, a repeat of the League Cup final. And finally, on to Motherwell on Saturday. A surprise defeat at Dundee. It feels like, Cammy, this could be the end of the Motherwell for the league title bid. And some praise for Dundee and Stephen Presley, who no one's calling for him to be sacked now. He has really done a great job there in the past couple of months.
Yeah, he certainly has. Again, Dundee go through these spells where they seem to just get results very, very close to each other, which has absolutely brought them up the league. For me, you look at them now, are they out of danger? Probably. They obviously need a few more results going along, but I expect them to get that because they're a good side now, and they're full of confidence. But that was a big, big result. I didn't expect them to go and win the game. Could have seen them getting a draw possibly. But yeah, listen, Motherwell, it's the end of their title hopes for me. But certainly not the end of them. I mean, they'll come back. They'll have a big part to say in who probably wins the title. So yeah, I think it's just a blip for them, and it'll be interesting to see how they react because they've not had many real bumps on the road, and this is a disappointing one for them and the club. So it'll be interesting to see how they react.
Scott, for you, did you see that result coming?
Out all the fixtures I've seen Motherwell play over the last few weeks, that was the one I felt that they could come up a bit stuck just with what Dundee have. I've seen them against Hibs the previous week, and they just got a little bit of resilience about them. And most importantly, they've got quality in the wide areas between Congreve and Ugan. Really good again. Got players behind the ball and frustrated Motherwell at times. And when Motherwell obviously get the goal back, you think Motherwell going to go on and win this. But credit to Stephen Presley. Obviously came under huge pressure when the appointment was made. Dundee played Dundee United at the weekend, could go above them if they come away with a win. You got to give credit because I think at times Stephen Presley had said when he came in he wanted to play a certain way, but he's had to adapt to the players that he had, and they're getting stronger as the season goes on. But from a Motherwell perspective, they go to Celtic Park. I don't think they're going to win the league, but they could still second or third is quite realistic for Motherwell if they can go there and get a win, and they'll be looking at that game. There's no getting away from it. Jens will be looking at that game yesterday and thinking, if we get it right, we've got a chance to go and win. There's no getting away from that. But I think the title's just out their grasp now.
That's all we got time for. Many thanks to Scott and Cammy, and thank you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early each day. So to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. A jam-packed week of Scottish football. I'm sure the stories will go on and on and on about the football from yesterday, and both games about decisions. But I think the main takeaway from this podcast this morning is Cammy Bell's going to phone his former agent and find out why he wasn't getting $1 million per penalty save. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.